All right, yeah, so people are trigger warning again, sensitive topic. We're talking about passing in prison because in the state of Texas, life means life, and you gonna do it if that's what you're sentenced to in Texas. So the guy. Brief recap, guys back in the infirmary. I'm watching over him. He's like on like one-to-one observation type situation. His respirations are bad. He's starting to pass. Everybody knows he's passing. People are coming in. People are kind of running their mouth about like how terrible of a human that he was, and he kind of is getting exactly what he deserves. I mean, that was the mentality of the time. And I'm just really kind of quiet because, think about it. I'm watching a person pass, and I have never just sat there and watched a person literally pass. So it's the middle of the night, and his respirations are now they're fewer and far between, but they're there. And he's hooked up to like a little machine and stuff, and eventually he passes away. He dies. And as he dies, like people are now a lot of people are showing. Now rank is there. Now everybody's there because there's a whole process of the policy, and you got to put up all his belongings. And, people were talking smack like, he got what he did, one less person, and I really don't blame the correctional officers for talking that way, right? Because you got to think, there's no mental health counseling. There's nothing for trauma. You have to learn to process, manage, and move past and keep working even after a person passes away in prison, and it makes it really easy to kind of blow it off and make it insignificant because of his crime that he had committed. Well, in my mind, I had felt like he completed his sentence. It was over. Now we can stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason to run your mouth. There's no reason to say anything. He has completed the whole of his sentence, and he owes the state of Texas, society, his victim, and nobody else any more time. He's gone. You know what I mean? And so this guy, you saw the picture of like his ID, what he looked like before and what he looked like in the bed. He looked like two human beings. The best kind of way I could describe it is like his skin was yellow like cheesecake, kind of white and yellow like cheesecake. And, I don't know why I'm a fat guy. I don't know why it brings me there, but, and then, he was emaciated like you might see in a Nazi concentration camp or something in an old World War II thing or something. I mean, skin and bone type stuff. So, and after a person passes, there's a whole process. So you gotta chain in all this stuff. You gotta write down everything he has, or you gotta, pack up all of his belongings so he can be sent to his family members. And you also have to take pictures of his body, you know what I mean? So, we take the covers off him, we strip him completely naked. The rank comes in there with the camera, and rank has us lift him over, flip him over. We're taking pictures of his whole body. And the worst thing about this was, and the part that disturbed me as much as the passing did, like when they lifted his back up, he had big old sores on his back. Like it looked like if you go to the market and you get a piece of that cheesecake on that white skin with like cherry topping, that red gooey cherry topping, that's exactly what some of these sores look like on his spine or on his hips, wherever like the bed had been touching his back because nobody was rotating him or moving him like they should have. And so he was getting these giant sores on his body. And but let me back up. Before the rank, right after he had passed and he's gone in his last breath, and now they've called rank and people are, the only thing that I could do is I closed my eyes and I said a prayer. That's the only thing that I knew how to do. I didn't know what to do. But so I just said a little prayer, you know what I'm saying? And, just asking, I didn't really ask anything. I didn't ask for his forgiveness or for God to open his arms or just more. Maybe I said the prayer. I definitely said the prayer for him, but maybe I said part of the prayer for myself. And I'm not an overly religious guy by any means. It's not like I'm in there reading people their last rites or anything like that. But I just think there's a certain amount of respect and dignity that should be involved when a person dies, even if it's the worst killer in the world or person in the world. And, and I know that's a hard thing to say with this crime. My biggest anger would be like to the woman that's still sitting by his side after he did that to his stepdaughter. Now that to me was like the disgusting part of the whole situation. You know what I mean? All of it was terrible, but that in my mind is hard to process. But So yeah, we take pictures. We move. First time I've ever really just handled a body like that, a corpse like that, and I will say it. After that time, it desensitized me to death in there, though. Like, I'm not mad at the officers for doing what they had to do to manage their thoughts, feelings, and emotions on the situation, because I realized there's not adequate mental health care. There's not a counselor. There's not somebody to talk to. And guess what? You got to go right back out there into that hostile environment and somehow make it still happen after you just got finished handling a dead body, So, sorry this was long and drawn out. Trigger warning to those, but it was it was meaningful in a way. It was weird in a way. It's like very hard to describe. I got any comments or anything on it, I'll answer them. So holler at me. Let me know what's up.